If you feel blocked from change, despite putting in a lot of effort and wanting it badly, but you keep falling into extreme self-doubt, anxiety, self-sabotage, procrastination, imposter syndrome, everything that is trying to block you from even being able to take the actions and getting there. In this video, I'm going to explain exactly why your body responds like this and how you can finally break that pattern. And the key is nervous system healing. The nervous system is the key to changing all of these patterns, because your nervous system is basically intertwined with your subconscious mind, and your subconscious mind are controlling 90 to 95% of the whole you, unconsciously, automatically. Just like when you put your hand on a hot stove and you automatically pull back before you can even think about it, the same thing will happen with your next level and your goals if your nervous system doesn't think it's safe to reach that new level. And if you want to reprogram your subconscious mind, that comes from changing what your nervous system sees as safe for you. So that is why nervous system healing is the key to change. It is the key to changing your subconscious program, which will either automatically, sabotage your success or automatically help you create it. And the agenda of the video: first, I'm going to briefly explain the background, why is the nervous system the root of change and what is happening in your body. Then I'm going to explain how you can change what your nervous system sees is safe for you. So I'm going to draw a map here to illustrate this. Here we have a map of human behavior, and NS stands for nervous system. So all of this contains to your subconscious mind. And this could be described as your conscious mind. Okay, so your nervous system and your subconscious mind have together in your whole life been scanning your environment, your experiences, trauma and social conditioning. And they have then together created a rule book for what is safe and what isn't. And this rule book contains your whole self-concept, your identity, your habits and your beliefs. And if you then maybe you have an identity of, I am shy, I am not the person who speaks up, I am not smart enough. If you then you have this desire of starting your own business and earning a lot of money. If that desire doesn't match your current rule book, it will not feel safe. So your subconscious mind will say, no, that is not safe. And it will then send out a bunch of chemicals in your body that will signal to your nervous system to put you in survival mode, for you to block this change. And that is why you get the anxiety, the self-doubt, the procrastination, the overthinking, the imposter syndrome. Basically, your amygdala are hijacking your prefrontal cortex here, and your creativity needs your prefrontal cortex. Your perspective and your logic lies in your prefrontal cortex, and it will shrink. And that is why you get this brain fog and you get this tunnel vision, focusing on threat and everything that can go wrong. It just wants to block you from creating this change. And if you want to change your self-concept, your subconscious program, that comes from the nervous system. It starts with changing what your nervous system sees as safe for you. That is how you change the subconscious program. And now I'm going to explain how to do that. Okay, so if you want to change what your nervous system sees as safe for you and change this program, you need to catch your triggers and you need to understand how to respond to them. That is how you change. Because how you respond to the trigger, aka the self-doubt, the shame, the anxiety, all of the procrastination, all of that triggers that comes up when you try to go outside of the rule book, how you respond to that trigger will either make the rule persist or release and heal. If you respond to this trigger with internal unsafety, that is going to confirm that this rule needs to persist, because your body basically thinks that you are in danger. That is the whole reason for why it gets triggered with doubt and shame and tries to block you. And if you meet that with internal unsafety, you are confirming the trigger and it's gonna stay. Compared to if you meet the trigger of doubt, anxiety, fear with internal safety, that is gonna create contradiction in the rulebook. And that's gonna make your nervous system take the nose, oh, apparently we are safe even though this trigger shows up. So apparently there is no threat here. So apparently we do not need to keep this rule. We do not need to keep this trigger. And that's gonna make it release so that you can actually move to your next level and change your beliefs, your identity, and your automatic habits. And I'm gonna illustrate here what it looks like when you have internal safety versus internal unsafety, so that you see the difference between them. Okay, so when you have internal unsafety and you get your trigger of shame, fear, anxiety, self-doubt, imposter syndrome, everything of that, if you respond to this trigger with internal unsafety, that looks like self-abandonment, attachment, and resistance. And this internal unsafety will then trigger more stress in your body, which is going to make it persist. You just confirmed the trigger to be real, like you need to keep it, that's what you prove. But when you are responding with self-loyalty, detachment, and allowance, your nervous system will be able to calm down. So your stress releases, and this is gonna make the trigger release and heal. How amazing. This is how you break the pattern. This is how you break the loop of being you right now. This is how you break the loop of your limiting beliefs and your identity and your automatic habits. And I'm gonna go through now in detail what all of these pillars look like, so that you can actually implement them on your own when you get triggered. So self-loyalty looks like being able to confirm to yourself that no matter what happens, if I fail, if the worst case scenario were to happen, how will I treat myself? Will I punish myself? Will I abandon myself? Or will I respond with loyalty? Will I respond with compassion? Self-loyalty doesn't mean that you need to always have the emotions of love against yourself, but it's a commitment. It's a commitment, a relationship that you have with yourself. And if I were to give you an example that's gonna explain this really well. Let's say a person is trying to lose weight, but they keep self-sabotaging it, procrastinating the gym and falling back into binge eating and falling back on square one over and over again. If this person wants to change this pattern, he needs to stop shaming himself and stop punishing himself. Self-abandonment in this scenario is going to make his behaviors persist. If he is constantly shaming and abandoning, punishing himself for his mistakes, that will create survival mode towards reaching his goals of change. And this is so tricky because it's so easy to think that if I am very self-critical, if I am punishing myself, that's gonna make me change better. That used to be me. I thought that the harder I am on myself, the faster I will change. And it is true that self-abandonment can push you. It can give you a push motivation to take like one action. But long term, and when I say long term, I don't mean that this needs to happen a few months and then it gets negative. No, I mean a few days, like it gets negative directly. This kind of self-abandonment and punishment will create survival mode in his goals. Like the actions that he takes will be so loaded with survival mode because his body thinks that his treatment of himself is on the line, because his body doesn't want to risk his relationship with himself. Because if he fails, he knows that he will get abandoned. He will not treat himself with respect anymore. His body doesn't want to risk that, which is going to make every single small action feel like life or death threat. This is a learned behavior from trauma. Self-abandonment and this self-punishment is a learned behavior from trauma. For example, if you have been experiencing rejection or criticism or inconsistent love, your body has this strategy of, like, if I am the problem, that means that I have control over the situation. If I can hide, if I can run, if I can fight, that means that I have control, like I can do stuff to be safe from this rejection. If I can change myself, then I will be safe from the situation. So it's a learned program in you. And this survival mode will make his actions feel so painful. Discipline will feel like torture. And this is going to lead to avoidance. This is going to lead to numbing. Emotional eating will become more likely. Procrastination will become more likely. And his self-sabotaging behaviors will persist. So a personal example of my self-abandonment, like I started my own business a few years ago and I had a lot of self-doubt, a lot of insecurity. And I remember thinking that if I'm not reaching my goals of the year, I will hate myself for it. I will not be able to accept myself for it. And that made me treat the actions as a life or death threat, because I didn't want to risk the relationship with myself. I didn't want to become abandoned for myself. So I thought that this self-abandonment and me being hard on myself, me pushing myself like this, is gonna make me reach my goals faster. But in actuality, that was this exact thing that was blocking me from reaching my goals fast in the first place. Because of the survival mode that it put on me. And it was blocking my creativity and my confidence constantly from being able to be good at the sales meetings, because I was so in scarcity, I was so desperate. I was loaded with anxiety constantly, which was blocking me from being able to reach my goals in the first place. So self-loyalty is more important than self-belief. Because your nervous system does not ask you, do I believe I can succeed? Your nervous system asks you, will I be safe if I try and fail? Your nervous system are focusing on the closest threat. So if you are meeting your triggers, your self-sabotage, your procrastination, your anxiety, your fear, with abandonment, punishment, and more shame, it's gonna make it persist. But if you can confirm to yourself that no matter what happens, no matter how much I fail, no matter how disappointed I might feel on myself, no matter how scared I will be if I meet the worst case scenario, I will be on my team. Even though I might not have the emotion of love against myself, I'm gonna treat myself with respect. I'm gonna be on my team. I am gonna treat myself with compassion and respect no matter what happens. It's a commitment that your relationship with yourself does not depend on your productivity, your appearance, your achievements, or other people's opinions. Okay, the next point is allowance. Allowance basically means that you can allow the self-critical thoughts and the fear to be in your chest without fighting it, without immediately needing to push it away, without arguing with it, without forcing positivity on it. Because if you are resisting your fear and your trigger, your anxiety, that is gonna communicate to your brain that this thought and this emotion is a threat. That is gonna communicate internal unsafety in your body if you are resisting this trigger. compared to if you allow it to be there without arguing it, without agreeing with it, you just let go. Letting go gives you control. Allowing it to be there without arguing it, without forcing positivity, that used to be me. Every time when my self-doubt came up, I went to the mirror and I did my positive affirmations over and over again, on repeat. But it didn't help so much. Like, affirmations can be good in some scenarios when you feel like a bit neutral and when you just want to shift your focus. But sometimes positivity, forcing positivity on your trigger, can actually be the thing that makes the trigger persist. Sometimes positivity is what keeps you stuck. So resistance can look like numbing, avoiding, or trying to find a solution to this feeling and this thought. So for example, if you get a limiting belief that comes up that tells you, I am not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I am disgusting, I don't like my body. If you want to overcome that limiting belief from blocking you from the change that you want, you do not want to argue with the belief. That is going to communicate threat in your body. Is a war going on here, which means it will persist. You want to meet these thoughts and these fear and anxiety with acceptance and compassion. You do not need to confirm it, and you neither argue with it. You do not force positivity on it, saying, I'm good enough, I'm good enough, I'm good enough. No, you say, I am okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. That is a mantra that you want to have. A good tip is try to connect with your body instead of your head. Try to feel the emotions as loud as they want. You can dance, you can scream, you can journal, or you can just sit in silence and hug yourself, and you can ask yourself, like, where in my body am I feeling this right now? And just accepting and coming with compassion and saying, yeah, when did you start to believe this about yourself? Yeah, when I was a teenager, I was rejected and criticized and blah, blah, blah. And you just meet that with compassion and you say, yeah, it makes sense that you are scared right now. It makes sense that you think this about yourself from what has happened. You are being your own therapist. And when I've been doing this, I immediately feel safety around my fear. I can be able to find peace within my fear, even though I am thinking about a worst case scenario happening and all of these limiting beliefs of, oh, what if I can't do it? What if it's not possible? All of these limiting beliefs and threat thoughts comes up. If I just meet them with pure acceptance and compassion, they just release. It can be 10 minutes and suddenly I feel positive again. I feel lighter. I feel like I have perspective and suddenly I feel self-belief again. And that did not come from trying to fix them or try to find a solution to them, but it comes from creating internal safety in your body. That's gonna make the survival mode release, and naturally you will get the positivity. Positivity isn't something that you should force on yourself. It's something that you can redirect your focus with. And it's something that naturally comes up when you regulate your nervous system. Okay, so that is how you overcome your limiting beliefs. You do not argue, you accept and come with compassion. And then I actually forgot one point. Obeying and responding. If you are obeying the belief and the thought, you are letting it completely paralyze you and control you. That is also you communicating to your brain that this thought is an actual real threat that we need to fight and run from. Compared to if you are responding with how you want to act instead, even though the thought is there, that's also going to communicate to your brain that apparently this is not a real threat that we need to fight and run from. It's just there. And that's going to make it release. So even though you feel like a failure, even though you have a lot of self-criticism coming up, you don't need to treat yourself like a failure. Even though you feel scared of a judgment because you want to post a video, even though you feel that fear, you still post the video. That is you responding instead of obeying. And the last point is detachment versus attachment. So when you have attachment, that is you saying my goals, my achievements is my savior. My achievements and all of these external things is gonna save me from my shame and all of my emotional pain. You're putting all of the power outside of you. And detachment is knowing that the power is within me. I don't need the views or the money to make me safe from my own shame. The power of completeness and healing lies within me and how I respond to my triggers and my relationship with myself. So I like to look at detachment as 2 layers. The first layer is healing and the other layer is to find completeness. So if you look at healing first, we should not ignore the fact that external things can help you heal. For example, if you have a abandonment wound, you have been rejected from a lot of relationships and experienced inconsistent love. If you then find a guy who is very loyal and consistent, of course that is going to help you heal your wound. And if you have been having a lot of limiting beliefs of not feeling good enough and you finally reach a lot of success in your business, of course that external validation is going to give you some external confidence. But it's not going to be able to heal the internal root of your wound. Because if you are on your own are not healing that internal root of the wound, your brain will just think, oh, what if I lose the success? Or it will just raise the bar and constantly move the finish line. Like, oh, but I need to earn 10K per month. Oh, but then I need to earn 20K, 30K. And you just raise the bar. Or with your relationship. If you're not healing the relationship with yourself and the root of the wound, your brain might say, what if he suddenly decides to abandon me? What if he suddenly decides to not be loyal anymore? Your brain will just find a way to be scared still, because you do not have the internal confidence. The external can only give you the external confidence and the external self-worth, and that is conditional. The external doesn't have the power to save you. You only have that power. And that comes from how you respond to your triggers. Like this. Your relationship with yourself. That is how you heal the internal root of the wound and how you can find internal confidence and feel good enough existing. Literally. And then the other layer of detachment is very deep. This is very, very deep. And that is how to find completeness. Life was never about reaching the end point, right? Reaching the goal. Because that is like saying life is about death. Your brain has a tendency to neutralize itself and want to chase for the next thing. And your ego will always have a self-critic. New fears will always come up, anxiety, new wounds as you go on your growth journey. So if your goal in this life is to become completely healed or to become perfect, you will keep going your whole life and never be satisfied. And what made me be able to find completeness in the present moment was when I understood the 2 different perspectives of the ego and the observer. The ego is your physical character in this life. It's your beliefs, your thoughts, and your physical body. The observer is your consciousness. You can say it's your soul. It's the observer you. Whatever you want to call it. And the ego, as I said, will always have this self-critic. It will always have wounds that get triggered. And it will want to neutralize itself when you reach a new level. But your observer, on the other hand, doesn't have the same perspective at all. The observer always are calmness and love. And there is this spiritual philosophy that explains that the ego have separation. The ego has the separation between good and bad, life and death, masculine and feminine. We live in this world of duality. but the observer doesn't have separation. And I think this is very interesting, how we enjoy watching movies with adversities and tragedy. Like, think about it. Why is it that we can enjoy a scary movie but not a scary emotion? So I believe, personally, that we came into this life because we wanted to experience the full spectrum of the human experience. And I believe that completeness is not the absence of imperfection and wounds and fear and anxiety, but it comes when you stop resisting the human experience and your emotional pain, and instead you become the space that holds your emotions. You do not try to resist and force positivity and try to feel good all the time. Instead, you become the space that just observes without judgment. That's where I have been able to find completeness. That is how I can look at my goals as just a game, instead of a savior that's gonna save and complete me. So this is so powerful. When I feel anxiety and doubt towards being able to build my dream life, and I can ground myself in this detachment of looking at my dream life, the things that I want to achieve, as just a game instead of something that's going to complete me. Because I know that my brain will want to neutralize itself when I reach that point. Life was never about reaching the end point, you know. And instead I can look at it as an exciting game. I can stop resisting my fears and my doubt, and I search for space. And I can look at it as an exciting game. And that suddenly removes so much survival energy and internal unsafety from my goals and my triggers. And I can look at it as just a game. And that makes me so calm, and that brings so much peace within me, even though I feel triggered with fear. So that one is so powerful, and that's gonna release triggers so fast. Like, I can feel so scared, I can feel so much doubt. And when I ground myself in detachment, it can disappear in 2 seconds. Suddenly my nervous system has regulated itself, because the survival mode focus on my goals has disappeared. And suddenly I feel calm and peace. And all of this internal safety of self-loyalty, detachment, allowance, and responding is creating internal safety within me, and it makes me be able to move beyond my wounds and my triggers and my fears and my doubt, and making them release. And this is gonna unlock change for you and make you be able to reprogram your subconscious mind. And what I want to end this video with is a mindset shift. And that is, the next time you get triggered with self-sabotage, with doubt, with fear, I want you to look at that trigger and be grateful and say, what is it that my brain are trying to protect me from right now? Because this is your opportunity to teach your nervous system something new. This is your opportunity to change your subconscious program. This is your opportunity to change. But that was it for this video. I hope it helped.